Senator Chris Coons was recently speaking on a panel, and the topic of polarization came up. Why is it that lawmakers are having a difficult time working together in Congress to get important legislation passed? And I want to give you the framing of the question, and then the problematic portion of this is how Chris Coons responded. Take a look.
In the good old days, we also had a Congress that was a lot more homogenous. Didn't have very many women, very few people of color. There were large swaths of the American population that were pretty systematically excluded from political power and influence. And so maybe it was easier to get together when only some voices were being heard in the political system. And now that we hopefully are allowing more and different voices be heard, that itself takes some work to resolve and to find compromise.
Okay, so she brings up the fact that, hey, now all of a sudden you have different voices. And she's not saying it as if it's a negative thing, but it's gonna probably take a little more work with all these different perspectives to come up with a solution or something that everyone can agree on. Go ahead.
But overall in the panel, they were having a love fest about bipartisanship. And so Chris Coons is one of the most conservative Democrats. Politico called him GOP's favorite Democrat, even though he's from Delaware, a very blue state. So like Biden, who was also from Delaware, constantly bragging about the good old days and working with Republicans is great. So that's a little bit of the context of why she said that. And I think she did it in a tactful way, but I think it probably was partly to challenge their supposition that it was the good old days. Now, Coons' reaction is very interesting.
Right, now this is a lengthy video, but I wanted to give you the full context of what he had to say. Take a look.
We have both leaders of our caucuses and members of our caucuses who are all too willing to go and campaign against the folks who are the ones most willing to compromise, because those are the ones easiest to defeat. I currently have legislation that I'm trying to advance with literally all 5 of the most vulnerable Republicans. So Senator Tillis and I, right, Senator Collins and I, right? So Senator Gardner and I, we're just working on these bills this week. If you stop legislating with the very people who are at risk of losing their seat because they're bipartisan, then how do you expect the thing to get any better? When I challenge my more progressive colleagues about how will your dreamed for vision of like complete justice be accomplished, their answers are structural change. Get rid of the filibuster, pack the court. These are fairly extreme answers. And I'll tell you, I think you're right about that. I want to believe of our country and ourselves that a more diverse Senate that includes women's voices and voices of people of color and voices of people who were not professionals, but who grew up working class and are first in their family to go to school and so forth, that we can engage those voices, that they can be part of the debate, and that doesn't produce irreconcilable discord. I think history may judge otherwise.
Wow, that ending was crazy. He sounded like a Fox News host.
Totally.
I mean, Tucker Carlson is always talking about like, show me any time the diversity has really worked. All it does is create discord.
No, he said that on the record. He said that on the record as if that was a perfectly fine thing to say. So he thinks that the diversity in Congress and the fact that he now has to work with people who have life experiences that are different from his own is a bad thing, that leads to irreconcilable differences. And understand what he's saying here. Well, look guys, I'm working with Republicans right now to give them everything they want. And then you have all these dissenting opinions that are making my life a lot harder than it needs to be. This is wrong. That is what he's saying there. You're pathetic. He's pathetic. He's up for re-election in 2020.
Right now, not many people are running, yes, but somebody should change that. So yeah. Anyways, look, guys, his thesis is 100% wrong. He has 2 different theses that he's talking about. He said there he's working with the 5 most vulnerable Republicans. So they will then go campaign and say, I'm bipartisan. My friend Chris Coons, the reasonable Democrat, says I'm right. right? And obviously everybody else is a radical leftist. So he gives them political cover. Now, I'm not saying don't do that ever. It's not a blanket statement. See, they treat us like we're children. They're like, oh, that would be the easy thing to do is to target the moderates, and it's because you guys are radicals, etc. No, it depends. What are you working with them on? Now, some of the things that Coons works with them on is actually totally fine. So he actually worked with some Republicans to protect Robert Mueller's investigation. Now, is anybody gonna primary you for that or gonna get upset about that? Or even worry that you're giving cover to a Republican if the Republican is actually coming to help do something sane and rational? No, we're totally fine with that. The question is the things that you're working on with them that are not progressive, that are the exact opposite of progressive. There's a reason why you're called the GOP's favorite Democrat, because you, like your predecessor Joe Biden in Delaware, almost always go to the other side and say, how can I help you get your priorities through?
Exactly.
That's why we're upset, not because we're rational, but because the exact opposite, because we are logical and actually care about policy. You're used to Washington where power protects itself. You know, hey, me and my Republican buddies, we're both powerful. We're both inside a very cozy club. And so he finds it radical that you would challenge anyone in power. We're making deals all day long to screw you guys over and help our donors. And yes, Chris Coons, you take a ton of money from corporate donors. And yes, I am calling you corrupt. Not personally corrupt like Donald Trump, but systemically corrupted. You take giant wads of cash from corporate interests and lobbyists, and then you do what they want and go, oh no, look guys, seriously, that was a coincidence. And I mean, these radicals are trying to say that it's connected to all the money that I took. Crazy, crazy. Am I right, Republicans? High five, high five, high five. Because that's part one that's radical. The second part is arguably worse.
Oh, definitely.
So he's going and saying, diversity, I mean, that's not gonna help us get deals. I mean, look at these, I mean, this part I'm adding, okay? Look at these young minority women who came in as Justice Democrats.
I mean, we all know that's what he's referring to. Those are the women or the members of Congress he's referring to, but it wasn't just about, diversity in regard to background, race. He also specifically mentioned individuals who don't come from wealthy families, who might be the first person in the family who has a college education, like the disdain for people in a lower socioeconomic status, or the disdain for people who don't come from wealthy families. I mean, it's just, do I have to deal with these people now too?
Yeah, AOC, and to be fair, Rashida Tlaib and all the Just Democrats are his worst nightmare, according to that statement right there. One, they come from a diverse background, and so like, I can't, there's discord, because they want to help people and give everybody health care, and my donors don't want to. Discord, I don't like that. And then second of all, they challenge incumbents. I'm an incumbent, I don't want to be challenged. And then, we had a nice racket going here, and now they won't agree. Now they're trying to represent their voters. Discord, I don't like it. Thanks for watching the Young Turks, really appreciate it. Another way to show support is through YouTube memberships. You'll get to interact with us more. There's live chat emojis, badges. You've got emojis of me, Anna, John, JR. So those are super fun. But you also get playback of our exclusive member-only shows and specials right after they air. So all of that, all you gotta do is click that join button right underneath the video. Thank you.